Good morning, I'm Maddie Harvey and this is my weekly live. I'm doing something a wee bit different today, so I'm trying to go live on Facebook at the same time as Instagram, so it's a little bit of an experiment. I've got two screens on the go, so if I keep going in between the two, that's why. So yeah, it's the first time I've tried this, so we'll see if it works. Welcome. I call these little videos Knits and Cake for Breakfast because before the lockdown I was hosting a weekly knit night on a Wednesday night, and I would always do some baking. And then on a Thursday morning I would eat a bit of the leftover cake for my breakfast, just as a wee boost to get me through to the weekend. So that's what the name's all about. I create knitting patterns and kits and workshops, and I really like to help knitters develop their creativity and their confidence with their knitting skills. So I haven't actually done any baking this week. I am eating up leftover Halloween goodies. So I had one lonely donut left that needed eating, and I don't know if you my kids like to do the thing where you string the donuts on a bit of string, and then they try to eat them, you know, with their hands behind their backs. So there was a few donuts left over, so that's what I'm having today for my breakfast. And considering it was bought on Saturday, it still tastes okay. Probably all that sugar. And I've got my cup of coffee. So I was going to show you what I've been knitting on this week, and then I'm going to talk about advent calendar mini skeins, because I've seen quite a lot of pictures of people's advent calendars arriving, and you know, people have opened them up and then they've got to let them sit and wait until the beginning of December. And I've also been hearing about people who do sort of swaps with knitting friends, where they create little mini skeins out of things from their stash and then swap them with other people. So I thought I would show you a few things that you could do with your advent mini skeins, and a couple of ideas of how to use them, because sometimes you can, depending on what kind of mini skein advent calendar you've got, you can end up with quite random colours or you know, different things next to each other. So let me see if I can find my project bag. I've left it over here. Here we go. Right, so this is what I've been working on this week, and this was actually something that I started maybe at the end of last year or the beginning of this year, which was to make a cowl using some little 5-gram leftover scraps of variegated. So I've got loads of different colours in here. I think these two are dyed by Posh Yarns. This is a ginger twist. This might be from Old Maiden Aunt, and these two are Countess Ablaze. And it's done in the round, and it's like a feather and fan or old Shawl, and I'm just going to join it together and make it into a cowl. And I've striped the little scraps with this pink, heathered pink, which is quite like the Jameson and Smith one that I have in my kits for my Lowy shawl and soft-hearted hat. So I've just striped that in, and I didn't do anything fancy at the beginning. I just cast on and got started. So that's actually, I'm going to write this up as a bit of a freebie pattern for people that are on my mailing list. So if you wanted to get your hands on that one, the sign up link is in my profile if you're on Instagram, or if you're watching on Facebook, it's on the pinned post at the top of the page, and you can sign up to my mailing list and you'll get that as a free pattern. very soon. So just use little, like honestly, like 5 grams. I wound up some extra ones, but actually I think I've got long enough now that I can get it around my neck. And what I might do before I sew the two ends together is just block it and then join it, so that I can just double check that it's going to be wide enough, but I think it will be. So that's what I've been working on. So if you fancied that for scraps or advent calendar minis, you can sign up to my mailing list and you'll get that quite soon, because it's finished and I'm going to get it written up. So I'm glad that I've finished that, or nearly finished it, because it's been on the go for quite a long time. And that one, when one scrap finished, I just added in the next one, even if I was in the middle of a round. So it's really using up every last wee bit of the yarn that you've got. And then I thought I would show you some other patterns that I have for using up mini skeins, which are perfect for Advent minis. So this one is called the Choose Colour Cowl. It's got a textured section in the middle, and when you start this one you do a provisional cast on, and then you need to, actually this one and this other one that I'll talk about in a minute, what I like to do is with the first mini skein, I like to halve it. So I'll use my weighing scales and I'll wind off half of it, and then I start with half and I stripe it with the next colour, so that in between you will get a kind of fade effect, because one will finish and then the one that's the bigger amount will keep going, and when you add in the new colour then it will kind of fade. So you can see here I've used, I mean the colours are quite different, but it creates a really nice effect because you don't ever have that harsh change. So by halving the first mini skein that I'm going to use and using that alongside a full mini skein, and then just swapping in the next one when one runs out, you get a really nice fade effect. So that one's called Choose Colour, and it comes in, there's 3 different sizes I think for that one. This is like the double loop version. So that's a good way to use mini skeins, is to kind of stripe them and fade the next one in so that you don't get a harsh change line. And I used the same effect with this cowl. So this is called Patience, and it's a really wide loop, so it's knitted that way, and it has a swirl around it, so you go between reverse stocking stitch and regular stocking stitch, and that's done with the same technique, but this one has got a little bit of ribbing at the top, so you can do the ribbing with one of the colours and then start striping in, and that you get a nice fade effect. And again, that one, you know, they are wildly variegated and quite different, but by striping them you kind of mellow it out a little bit and you don't get any harsh lines. So that would be another one. That one's called Patience, that you could use for Advent mini skeins. Or another idea is this pattern here, which actually wasn't written for mini skeins, but I think it would work nicely. So this is called Shifting Shores. It's I don't know if you're going to be able to see, it's a triangular shawl. This one was knitted in yarn by Mrs. Lamb's Yarns. I think I saw Ellen's name on the live. Hello Ellen, if you're watching still. But you could do this one with mini skeins. So it's got these repeats of this wave pattern, which is what you start doing first. And you could knit each one of those in a different mini skein. And then, oh, you are there, Ellen, hi. And then it's got these garter stitch sections, which would take, they take 50 grams, approximately 50 grams of a 4-ply yarn. So you could do them, you could stripe up a couple of minis to do those garter stitch sections. So, you know, shawls that are modular like this, that have got different sections, are another good one for mini skeins. And I guess if you're just knitting one wee bit with a mini skein, then you know it's not so much of a big deal to rip it back if you don't like how it's looking. I'm just gonna hold it up this way for the people on Facebook. If you've just joined in the live, I am trying to do 2 live streams at the same time. I'm on Facebook and on Instagram. I'm not sure how this is going to work going forward, but we just thought we would try it out for today. This also has this fringing, so you knit some extra stitches here and then you unravel them at the end and make fringing. So that would be another option, but really my top tip for using Advent mini skeins is to stripe them and do a kind of fade effect by, if you half the first one that you're using, then you join in the next one, but you're still maintaining one all the way, not all the way through, but you know, through that first section, so you don't ever get a kind of clean break. And the cowl that I showed you, this one, you kind of break up the craziness of the variegated yarn by knitting them with a solid. So yeah, so that's another way to do it. So if you would like to get your hands on this one when I get it finished, that's going to be a freebie for mailing list subscribers, so you can sign up to my mailing list in my profile, or if you're watching on Facebook, it's in my pinned post. Well, I think that's me for this Thursday. Thank you very much for watching. If what I do with these videos is I add subtitles to them afterwards, and I use an auto subtitler. So what usually happens is it makes a mistake, it makes a bit of a kind of blooper, and it thinks I've said something rude when I haven't, and I post those in my Instagram stories later this morning. So if you want a bit of a laugh this morning, look out for those later on, and then I'll repost the video on my grid. But I'll be back next Thursday at 10 o'clock. If you have just joined, you'll be able to watch the replay later on. Okay, have a good Thursday. See you next week. Bye.